the version in Spanish of this episode, I did it already for my podcast in Spotify. It's under the El Boricua Francés. But there I speak more in Spanish, and I also have a lot of the interviews in French of what you guys see, but there's always a little bit more. I always wanted to do this a little bit more intimate, the part of the YouTube and the part of the Spotify and Telegram, more intimate, more specific to details. It kind of have worked like that, but not really. I see more people in the group, in the Facebook group, and then I see a lot of comments also in Facebook. I have mentioned before, I'm not like super with Facebook, but it is a good way to keep in touch with everybody. So I kind of put things there, but I cannot go in too much specifics, and I always see that people have a question or a comment, and it's a little bit hard to keep up. Anyway, this episode, and this photo here is the photo actually, the one in Spanish you see is called papeleo. It means paperwork. And this episode in English is going to call paperwork also. And I explained that I have my citizenship. I am actually a French citizen, and actually I have my passport, my French passport, and my car, my ID card. That is very important here. Everybody needs to have their ID card, the citizen ID card. And I already have that, but I still then working on my paperwork, the social security, and all that has to do with the social aspect of things here, because a lot works through that. But I am a French citizen, a European Union citizen, and I do have a car identity card. Oh, yeah, an ID, identification. What happened, I wanted to explain you, and is what I say in Spanish, is that what I find extremely interesting is that I did all this without being without being in France. While I was living in Florida, in South Florida, all this happened. All the paperwork, all the back and forward, and I have, visited France, but not really even being, more than just visiting, than the required time, less than the required time. Many people, I think, from the United States would have here in France is just 3 months, unless you have other type of visa or ID. And I was able to get all my actual citizenship and all that just through paperwork, just by answering some questions. And of course, all this comes together with my wife, with Florence, she is a French citizen. But it's not just that. It's not just that she is a French citizen. What happened is that she was a French citizen that she already had said to the government of France from long ago, from a certain amount of years, that she was a French citizen who works or who lives outside of France. So with the government of France, she was registered like that. So therefore, this paperwork, these type of things could happen. So basically what I'm saying is not that everybody, as far as I understand, can do it the way that it happened to me. The way that it happened to me is because there were these steps that was taken care of, that Florence, in the way Florence had done, that she had kept up with her information with the country, with her country, that allows that, okay, it's kind of like this type of protocol where they say a person can be a citizen if this. Normally you have to be here, you have to live here, meaning in the country for a certain amount of months, or a year. But in this case with me, it was not like that, because there was information that would explain why I was doing it the way I'm doing it. Besides that, I also have to have a certain level of French. That for sure is the one. And I did have to go to Washington, D.C., to the embassy of France and answer questions there and follow a protocol. There was a protocol to follow. And yeah, I forgot to mention to you. And everything had to be translated to French. All the written stuff, all the official stuff, even from Puerto Rico. So I had to get things that were maybe either in English or in Spanish, translated to French by an official person, French that was listed, that had to officiate, and all had to be well documented and well stamped. And not only, like, I'm not talking about just my birth certificate. We're talking, I had to find the marriage certificate of my parents. I had to find a lot of things that are super old, not in, in like a PDF file or anything like that. So that part was kind of, what I explained is that it's really not difficult if you think about it. It's just that it's a lot of paperwork. That's what I was saying, paperwork. And it's a lot of paperwork and inconvenient because you're not sure if you're going to find it and so on. And, you maybe have to talk to another office and another office to find it and the translation. But, in level of difficulty, really is just finding paperwork. And also the level of difficulty is that all this is happening while life is happening. So we had to still go to work, we had meetings, Florence had classes, we still do. So all this, we kind of like were doing it in the background, just kind of like seeing what was happening, but not thinking much about it. And I forgot to mention this in the Spanish one. This is where they send you a letter. It's not even a call. They send you a letter, an email, actually. I think I got an email, yeah. An email saying, you need to be in DC this day at this time. And that's it. And, I remember it was one night I had Florence, I think, because it was in French, and I think they say that, then she read, and yeah, we got to go. We had to change. I was going to go. My mom has been sick. We were going to Puerto Rico to visit her, and we had to change and go. Instead of going from Fort Lauderdale to Puerto Rico, we had to go Fort Lauderdale, Washington, stay in Washington some days, and then go to Puerto Rico, and then come. So it was an experience, that part, and then just wait at the time, and be clear, to go through the embassies and everything, and go through the questioning. And I will explain more, because I will share the questioning and all that, because that's, I think, is very interesting. I just don't want to take a long time, but the main thing that I wanted to, the peculiar thing I wanted to say about this is that all this procedure, my citizenship and all that happened, mean not being here in the country. And I thought it was very interesting. Now, the certificate, the passport and the ID, I got my U.S. citizenship in the consulate there in Miami, and I was, this photo is about that. It was when I was there and all that, but I did not have my passport or my card of identity. All that, I had to do it and get it here, and it's not because anything wrong, it's just because of the COVID. So they advise, if you need to get to France, we can give you the citizenship, we can finish this, but, the passport, your paperwork and all that, take it with you, and then you get it, you ask for that over there, and that's what we did, and thankfully, it went pretty smoothly, that part, and I got my passport and my card of identity. I wanted to share with you guys, because I thought it was extremely peculiar how it happened, all that, while being there in the United States. And just to tell you, the price, not comparable with the same procedure that happened to Florence when it was her being there. It was very different, because she was there, she already has been years in the United States, and still, you know, we had to have basically a lawyer. We had to pay quite a bit. I think if I have to add and subtract, mine was between the whole thing, between maybe $100 and $250, maybe, and that's even a maybe. I'm just thinking maybe paying the translator, you know, of the things official and things like that, but just that. So that is it. Now you have to be patient about certain things, but very, and in time wise, I think if I tell you, I think all together was, I don't think even a year, the whole procedure. But again, it was just not even a year, but I've been practicing my French. I've been making sure that I was listening and watching a lot of French TV. I had an idea that what level I needed to have of French. That's one thing that it was a must. I needed to pass that test. So anyway, I'll go more in details, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about that. And I will, you know, it's confinement still, and finding, you know, that I cannot visit everywhere all the time. So I was finding things that you maybe find interesting to listen to. And I think this is one. I have even more interesting things to speak about that part, but I wanted to include this, the going from English to Spanish. Sometimes well, no, all the time I do it just on the spot. So normally that is similar to the same recording in Spanish, but there are differences because I just do it by memory. Okay, but I wanted to tell you that, and I hope you guys have a great day. Ciao.